What's up, everyone? Before we get to today's show, don't forget to hit the like, subscribe, share, download, listen, and whatever other button there is, and leave us a review wherever you do listen. This ensures that we can continue bringing you the great guests and amazing content like we have for you today. Karen Antunes has become one of the greatest fighters in the female lightweight division, winning multiple world championships and defeating some of BJJ's greats during her career. On this episode, Karen discusses her strong family bond, the challenges she and her husband Mayko faced during the pandemic, what she believes it takes to become a world champion, and how she trains and prepares both physically and mentally for high-level competition. And be sure to listen as Thomas gets fired live during the podcast. Here is the RŌL Radio with 5-time world champion, multi-time PANS champion, and European champion, Karen Antunes.
Welcome to RŌL Radio.
And we're live. Gary, how are you?
I'm good. I'm excited. We're having, we always have this little bit of cross-talk, and I'm excited. We're already having a good conversation. But before we get started, RŌLRadio.com for the Fuji Gi giveaway. Got a couple months left of this. Go there, drop us a question for either one of us, both of us, or a guest. If we read your question on the air, you are automatically enrolled to win a free Fuji Gi. We've given away a couple this way. And the pool, because we're doing it this way, is really, really small. So your chances of winning are very, very high. And who doesn't want free gear, especially from Fuji?
Yeah, I have to admit that I've been stealing some of those questions, and I've been answering them separately and putting them on our YouTube channel. So, some of those questions might come up in different channels, but it is important because you can actually ask the questions to us and to the guests and all the upcoming guests, right? So obviously take advantage of it, and then free Fuji Gi, could be yours.
Yes.
Shall we get into this?
We should. Let's do it.
Absolutely. Karen, great to have you. How are you doing?
I'm doing awesome. Thank you. We just came back from Brazil. Trying to recharge all the energy.
I was about to say, you recently traveled to Brazil. How was the trip?
It was like we tried put 2 weeks inside one because we surprised my family. Nobody, I'm number 5 of 7 kids. So none of them knew that we're going. It was really fun. But we are so tired.
So hold on a second. Nobody knew that you were coming?
No, okay, nobody knew it.
You got to tell me, what was the reaction when you walked into the house?
So, a lot of siblings, right? So my brother number 3, he almost had a heart attack. And the other one was just so surprised. They just cried. And it was, even my mom, she's really tough. I had no idea that she could cry, and she cried because it was really surprised. Nobody knew it. Mm-hmm. And it was a special occasion. It was my brother's number 2 and 3 birthday. So they're celebrating. And I just show up.
Nice. How long you haven't seen your family prior to this visit?
Almost 3 years.
Wow.
3 years and 10 months. Almost 3 years.
Wow. Yeah, this pandemic thing really put a lot of separation on different families. So this is one of the things that I'm hearing all the time, that this is now it's like everybody's not reunited, but there's this opportunity to really visit in person and make these personal connections again, as everything is kind of coming back to the norm, whatever that means for everybody. Mm-hmm. I'm so glad that you were able to do that. I mean, what are your thoughts? How long did it take you to plan this?
We planned in 2 weeks.
Oh,
actually.
Wow. Really?
In 2 weeks, we saw a good deal on the tickets, and we were like, why are we going to wait until December? I want to see, my family right now, but I also didn't want to give them any expectation because I wasn't sure. First, It's my husband and I only, Mayko, we run the school. We don't have any other black belts who could support, and our school is our main priority. Mm-hmm. So, but then we got some students that have been helping us with kids class. And then we thought 1 week is not going to be that big deal. They won't miss us. And we left the school in good hands. We're happy with the result. Now we know we can be gone for.
That's a good
for a
feeling.
week sometime.
It worked for a week. Now you're leaving for 2 months. You're gone.
Yeah. Oh, bye-bye.
Listen, so you said your mom cried. Your brothers have emotional experience with this trip. What was your feeling when you walked in?
Man, I was having goosebumps all the time when I was getting the straight, but I was just happy and thankful, grateful for being able to do that. After when pandemic started, I was getting ready for PAMS. In April, we're going to be completing 1 year of our school, and we close in March. So a month before 1 year of school, we had to shut down. It was like really hard the next year because we knew we don't have a lot of money. I mean, we have no money. I mean, to survive the first year, you know what it is having a business, and then pandemic started. It was really tough for the first 3 months. But then I think my stay here in Arizona was really like much better than others that we saw in California. I had to shut down everything for way longer than 3 months. So after 3 months, we reopened, even we're not allowed to. We try everything, Zoom classes. We just close all the windows outside and we start teaching. And I'm so thankful that we're here today, because if we've been closed for more than a month, we won't be able to reopen.
Yeah, and you mentioning something really important. I personally know several academies that literally closed permanently. They never reopened. Some of them try to reopen now. Last year was definitely tough. And I never know myself. I mean, my academy, we are open and we've been open, but it was a tough year, and listen, I had to hang out with this guy all the time. It's just, I'm glad it's over.
I have to hang out with my husband all the time.
I know. Like,
sometimes we feel like we're married.
You shouldn't do that. But the most, the harder part for us is every single side job we do. It's about Jiu Jitsu. I mean, it's my husband and I. So we competition to make extra money, events like Fight to Win, I fought Fight to Win for the first year, almost every month. That was very helpful. Or working as a referee, working in a tournament, private class. Every single side job was with Jiu Jitsu. And when it started, we whoa, what do we do now? So,
yeah, it is. Isn't it interesting how our lives revolve around this jiu-jitsu thing? Like Gary and I, we were talking about this couple with another guest, but I think I have few friends who are not jiu-jitsu, but everybody else is just through jiu-jitsu. I don't know people outside of jiu-jitsu. Matter of fact, if I meet somebody that don't do jiu-jitsu, it's why you not doing jiu-jitsu? That's crazy. Right? Yeah.
And then you try bring them to jiu-jitsu.
I know.
So how do you think we've asked, early in the pandemic, we've asked people this, and I think it's good to touch on it now. How do you feel that maybe your experience through jiu-jitsu prepared you for the lockdown, the shutdown, and prepared you to do what you needed to do to survive?
I mean, it's just like jiu-jitsu, we have up and down. We have time that you're doing so good, and we had time that we're doing so bad. And then...
Karen, I'm going to stop you.
Real quick.
Okay.
Hold on. We had an error.
I saw you doing a sign.
Yeah. We had an error here, and it's not recording here. I have to record one more time. I have to start this. Okay, hang on.
So this is what we'll do. I think we can do this. We'll skip the Fuji stuff.
Yeah.
We'll do a hand clap. We'll
Recording
get right to
in progress.
All right, makes sense.
Yeah.
And then I'll edit everything. I'll record all that Fuji stuff. Don't worry about any of that, and we'll get going. So go ahead, Thomas.
Sorry, with error
No
here.
problem. Come on, you're fired.
Can you please say that as soon as we get started?
We are live.
Karen,
say this one more time. Say this
You're
one.
fired.
Yes, Thomas is fired. I love it.
Officially, I'm no
Yes.
longer part of the show.
I'm
gone.
This has not happened in a while, but somebody forgot to hit the record button.
Yeah, this is my official departure from RŌL Radio, and it's over. I got fired not only by Gary,
Yes,
by our guest, unanimous decision.
but now a 5-time world champion, so it's official. Right? When I say it, it doesn't mean anything.
You only have one job.
Yeah, that's it. He just had to hit that one
Yeah,
button.
Listen, we've been recording for about 10 minutes, and obviously I didn't record. But what we're gonna do is maybe we can glue this all together.
Yeah,
so,
absolutely.
but one of the I'm gonna go back to this because it's such an interesting story. You just got back from Brazil, and I apologize for making to repeat this, but you went to Brazil on a very, very short notice, and what was the main reason for you to going there?
Just to see my family.
Just to see your family. So simple.
Just to see my family. I live for Jiu Jitsu every single day for the last 12 years. I sacrifice family time. I sacrifice I sacrifice every money, every life for Jiu Jitsu to reach those goals. And after pandemic, we started thinking, what is outside? And I just want to be able to see my family. You don't know what's going to happen next week. So I don't know about my parents, my family. I want to make sure I was able to see every single one because we can.
Yeah. And we already know this, but nobody knew about your trip.
Mm-mm.
This was complete surprise, right?
Complete surprise.
And first of all, did you cry when you saw your family?
I mean, I cried way less than I thought.
But you said something when we weren't recording that I found interesting is that you thought your mom was too tough to cry. And
my mom is really tough. It's really hard to see. I can count on my fingers how many times I saw her crying.
Uh-huh.
And I mean, 14 years ago, I lost my brother number 2. And it's very emotional for all of us. We're very close. We are 7 kids. We all together. We all from the same mom. We're all from the same dad. We all grew up together. And my brother number 2 was actually the first one who trained Jiu Jitsu. He was the one who put everybody together, the protector, because he was one of the older. And it was his birthday this weekend because my brother number 3 born the same day as him.
Wow.
So they be sharing the birthday forever. So being there on that day also is special. Maybe all together, that was last time I saw my mom cry when we lost my brother. And maybe all together, if we try to keep it happy because my brother number 3 is still here. And we need to celebrate his life too. But it's very emotional. Maybe all together, she's really tough to cry. I think that's the only time I kind of cried because she cried too, and I was surprised with that.
Yeah, it's when others get emotional, you kind of get emotional as well. So that's beautiful.
Explain, what do you mean by your mom is tough? What does tough mean to you?
Oh, my mom is the toughest woman I ever met, She's very kind of, but not in this way, way of hugging and kissing. The way her showing love was taking care of us like a mama bear, We have a really hard life. Can you imagine we poor and we're 7 kids. Only my dad works. And the way she raised us, it was really impressed me. She had to be tough to protect us we always live in favelas, in Brazil, here is ghetto. And she kept us together, trying to show us the right way to live. Not, it's the way she raised 7 kids and helping now raise another 14 grandkids.
Wow.
If she was not tough, she won't be able to make it.
That's beautiful.
That's a huge family. That's a big family.
Man, we're big. We're big. Now you understand why I had to go.
Yeah, no, it's coming all together. Where you was obviously short of your brother, but was everybody else there when you visited?
Yeah. So I was talking to them through WhatsApp. We talked all the time, FaceTime, and I was making sure everybody was going to be there. I told my mom I'm sending my brother a present. Like a surprise, but she had no idea what it was. So make sure you're there. And then one of our students in Brazil, he trained with me since a little kid. And he picked up at the airport. And he knew, and I was talking to him to make sure he was around, seeing everybody. Because all my siblings, they live in the same hometown. My family and Mayko's family. But Mayko's only child. So it was easier for us to surprise his family. It's only mom and dad. My family is a huge one.
Yeah.
So I have this student was kind of, sneaking in to make sure everybody was there. But the time I went, it was lunchtime. I wasn't sure if every single one was there, but they were. They were there.
Well, that's awesome. I can only imagine.
lot of fun.
I can only imagine when you walked in. That had to be.
Like I said, my brother number 3, he was the first one who saw me on the gate, and he was like, "Hey, motherfucker." and I was waiting for him to be happy, you know, but he didn't. He was only getting like more and more mad. And he sat down and he was like, I'm not feeling well. I almost had a heart attack.
Well, I'm pretty sure that he was very appreciative of it. Of all
So
of
next
this.
time, maybe I let him know.
Yeah, we don't want a heart attack.
Yeah. You mentioned that one of your brothers started you in jiu-jitsu, and you mentioned about your childhood with your mom being really, really tough. How did all this started for you, or how did it start for your brother and then got, passed on to you? I mean, obviously jiu-jitsu is a huge part of your life. You and your husband, you mentioned yourself. I mean, that's all you know. That's all you do. This is literally the anchor of your life right now, running the academy and knowing people and doing everything you do for a living. Take us to the very beginning for a moment.
Well, the very beginning, I was really young. My brother had he was addicted, to drugs since I was like 10 years old. But he was never the type of aggressive. We're gonna be fighting with my parents. No, he was like hiding all the time. Every single time I saw him, he was never high or crazy. It was hard for us to fight, and he always going to rehab and stay for like 6 months, and then he'd get out and he was fine. And the thing that was like with jiu-jitsu, every time he came back from rehab and he started jiu-jitsu was the thing that kept him longer, healthier. Mm-hmm. So the relationship with the coach, I never said his name, but by the time it was Tony Lee. He lives I think he lives in Texas. I never wanted to do jiu-jitsu, ever. But jiu-jitsu, what it did with my brother and the environment, always was in my mind. I was like, what jiu-jitsu has been always a good thing for him and the support he got from his coach. So at the end, we lost the battle. But jiu-jitsu was a thing positive, always, not just jiu-jitsu, but the environment he had with his coach. And then I was like teenager. And then my younger sister, she started training. It's like 20 years ago about my brother, And my younger sister, she started training. Tony leave Brazil, left Brazil to Texas. So, and then Mayko started teaching. Mayko was his student, brown belt by the time. And my younger sister started training jiu-jitsu. For like 2 weeks, then she was like, please come to me. You always curious about it. And I was like, no, they smelling. I don't want to do it. And she was like, just one time. And I decided to go. And this one time, I just fell in love with jiu-jitsu. I want to do every day, all the time. My body didn't let me because I was... Now when you start jiu-jitsu, it's okay. It's warm up, it's drilling. No. First day class, he throws there, goes sparring. I don't even know where I put my hand. Mm-hmm. But anyway. So I really, day one, I love it. And I want to buy gis and, and train all the time. So she's purple belt now, still. And I compete, oh my gosh, I don't know what my mind was. I compete with 1 week of jiu-jitsu.
Wow.
She convinced me
That's a fast
to compete with 1 week. And I was like, what did I do? I don't even know the rules. Mayko said, double leg, double leg is new. In Brazil, it's baiana. Baiana, the double leg, and hold. I only have one fight. My sister, it was a bracket of 3. My sister went first, she lost. And then I did a double leg and hold the girl for the last 3-4 minutes. I don't remember. And I won. The crazier part, it's 1 week, I competed and I won.
Mm-hmm. So you're hooked at that point, I assume, right?
And then I was like, I would never stop doing this again.
Did you think with that one win, did you think, oh, I'm good at this, I'm a natural, or were you like, boy, I got lucky?
Yeah. No. I was like, I'm so fucking good on this. And then, and Michael, he was really happy because he's all about competition. He loves it. And then I competed with 2 weeks. I won again. And I started competing. Like, I think my first loss was 4 months after.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's pretty impressive.
And I didn't do well with the losing. So I want to get back and train more and train harder. And I never did any sport before.
All right,
never, because it's hard in Brazil to be able to afford sport. If you're not rich, if you don't come from a good family, your parents can only afford food.
Yeah.
So with sport, it was hard. I was 23 already when I paid my own bills, and then I was able to try to do so, because before it's only you need to work, find a good education, college. I was the first one to finish college in my family.
That's amazing. I mean, that right there is a huge, huge accomplishment. And I'm thinking that's just one of the first things that you've really achieved in your life. And I do want to talk to you about your competition success. But before we get there, let's talk about that first day. Today, there is a lot of women who have literally the same approach as you had at that point, the day one. They are sweaty. They touch each other. They're on top of me. It's gross. Why in the world would I want to do this? Well, why in the world are you doing this?
Yeah, I remember because I don't feel like it was that long ago, And I also understand all the sports. But once I stopped on the mat and I understood what it is, I didn't care if it was a man, if it was Nelly, or if it was another woman training. It was I just care about learning. It's so empowering. The empowerment you feel when you're able to fight. I don't know, maybe it was something sleeping inside myself and it just woke up. I was very quiet. I was very shy. And that day, the sweaty people, this man, I didn't feel anything. I just feel like I'm born to this and I want to learn. Today, we have better environment because I'm a woman and I know how it's to be training with a lot of guys. But the main thing for me was the coaching, was the man on the mat that was leading the class, like Mayko. He didn't care if it was a woman. He treated me the same way as the other students. I never felt special, or I don't know if it's a good thing if you can take it. Because a woman step on the mat, now I feel we need to treat them different, to feel them welcoming. But with me, I was just one more. He didn't care. I had to do the same warm up. I had to do the same position. He didn't care I was a woman. He made me feel like I was part of it. I was not different. I was not special.
Which one?
So not just me, my sister and I.
Which approach do you think is more suitable for today? Which one is more correct? Should we treat women differently because of the environment, or should they be treated just like everybody else and be part of that group?
It's different now. Now I understand because I've been talking for the last 10 years with so many women. It's not everybody want to compete. It's not everybody want to be a competitor. That's not everybody want to get all the limits and get hurt and sore all the time. Some women want to learn just the self-defense part, the fighting part, they're getting fit, they're getting in shape. They want to fight, but they don't want to risk getting hurt because most of them, Jiu Jitsu is not a priority. They have kids, they have a work, they have a house, they need to take care. So they want to be able to train, but they don't want to get crushed every single time. So now what we do, we have, we adopted at the gym is we don't have women's only class because we have a lot of women at the gym. But we kind of separate. Only women can invite other men to train, not the opposite. Because sometimes a big guy, sweaty, invite a girl, a woman, and they kind of feel comfortable saying no, but they don't want to do it. And then they start quitting. So my academy, if a woman want to train with other guys, she feel comfortable, she don't care anymore, she can invite them. Perfect. but the man does never invite another woman to train. And
That's
it's
unique.
been working.
Yeah, that's really unique.
Let me ask you an important question here, and I think it's somewhat controversial in the jiu-jitsu community. Do you think that women should train with men, or women should train only with women? There's benefit behind each, but I'm curious what your thoughts are.
My thoughts are women should train with everybody. Not in the beginning, but like I told you, as soon as I understood what is jiu-jitsu, it doesn't matter if you're a man, if you're a woman, if you're black or white, if you're rich or poor. It doesn't matter. It's the last thing I'm going to think about it. It's the sex of my partner. You know what I mean? But I also understand that sometimes the guys need to learn how to roll with a woman, not being too rough. It's hard to learn that balance. You know, for me, I need to train with the guys because on the level I am, like talking about competition and everything, it's hard to get a woman. It's not that gonna feel like or hurt, or I'm kind of pretty strong for my weight. So I have to be in coaching mode all the time I don't want to hurt my students.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes competition class, they not even want to compete, but they want to be part, they want to learn. So training with men, it's like the main thing for me. I need them for sure. When I was able to train with Michelle Nicolin every day, I need no man. You know what I mean? Like I had the chance when we lived in California, we lived together for months, and we camped together for years. Every time, a month, 2 months before wars came. So I have her to train with. So I need no man to train. But now that I have my own school, I need them because they're stronger. Sometimes the technique is here, but they're strong, so make everything harder. I think it's really important for women to train with men, but they need to feel comfortable.
Well, yeah, and the comfort level, the comfort is a big part of all this, right? Mm-hmm. But there's often, I often hear comments like, they are stronger than me. They are bigger than me. Even if I do the technique flawlessly, they have these attributes which I cannot overcome, and that creates discouragement. That creates, that thought of, I don't want to be in these positions. What are your thoughts on that? Let's just say it this way. There's by far less women training jiu-jitsu than there is men. So finding another woman who is your size, your skill set, especially when it comes to competition, it's very difficult, if not impossible in some cases. How should women deal with the size and strength differences when they are getting ready for these competitions?
I mean, I'm very thankful to having like Mayko as a coach. You don't care if I'm getting ready. You're gonna put me with someone much bigger and much smaller because you need to find a way to use your technique against any partner. Or like if they're heavier, you can always use another strategy. It's hard with women because women like to complain. We are annoying. Be honest, we are annoying. So the best way to keep everybody happy is separating. It's like, even though you being like, we know we have a lot of black belts, even lower belts that know how to train with women, right? But let's see, we have a brown belt woman who weighed like 130 pounds, and we had a lower belt, blue belt that weigh heavier. If the blue belt go too easy, she's gonna complain because he's going too easy on her. And what? Like, I'm good. If he go too rough, she's going to complain. There's no winning.
Yeah. I don't know. Is a bigger question? I'm sorry. Go ahead.
The best way is kind of separating, putting women with lighter partners. We have the problem with like older women too, training with like lighter partners, and let it be. Yeah. We're going to have that problem all the time.
Well, I'm just wondering if, we always tell people, men or women, not to rely on their strength, right? Rely on technique. And I don't know if maybe more men should be told that as they approach training with women is like, hey, rely on your technique. Don't rely on your strength the same way you would with a guy, so that if you get caught, if she's, you know, if she's got something locked up, or, you know, her technique is putting you in a vulnerable position, well, then it's up to you at that point to not rely on your strength, right? Don't be afraid of tapping. Don't, you know, do it. And if you can use your technique with the appropriate amount of strength, then go ahead, but don't rely on that brute strength, that attribute that you have that female might not have, to get you through that round.
Let me spin this in slightly different direction. Let me ask you, Karen, what can we as men do to help you women train more efficiency, to become better? Right? Because there's one thing talking about what women can do, all the struggles that you guys have, but let's spin this around. What can we do to make you better?
Mm-hmm. I think that's the best question, you know, because like you said, it's way more men doing this than jiu-jitsu. So it's your responsibility to make us to feel welcome, right? To make us feel part of it. If you, as a male on the mat, make me feel uncomfortable and make me, you know, I won't come back. It's your responsibility and everybody on the mat to make me feel comfortable. How? Like Gary said, try to rely on technique. It's clear that the man, even if 130-pound man, 130-pound woman, the man has natural strength. Yep. It's going to be stronger. So try to use more technique instead of strength. But on the other side, I'm always trying to see both sides. For a man, it's going to be, if you don't, sometimes the only thing you have is the strength. You don't have the technique. And what? It's fair for a male partner letting the woman beat them up. You know what I mean? Like, it's not fair either. You get a white belt. White belts don't have technique. All they have is strength and craziness. So try to avoid white belts training with the woman. Sometimes the woman feel like, let me help the white belt. Man, the white belt don't have maturity to train with the woman. It takes time for the man, put on the side the ego. You know, let the female train. I don't need this. I'm stronger. I know better technique. But it takes time to teach that. White belt don't have any maturity to be easy on another female, right?
Yeah, it makes sense.
No, absolutely. Listen.
So yeah, that's what we try. We try to put higher belts. Always should train with the woman if they feel comfortable, because that's the only way for them to learn the balance of being not crazy aggressive. So with our academy works because the higher belt or the man, they learn to try all the techniques that they're not always able to do with the other male partner because of the strength or the same. That's the chance of them to work the techniques they've been trying to read for the last few classes. You know, the technique of the day. It is balanced, but you need to change the culture on the mat. So everybody needs to be able to train with everybody. A young blue purple belt needs to be able to train with the other lighter, older female, or a young blue purple belt needs to be able to train with the older guy, 50, 60 that we have on the mat. And the same way a 20-year-old cannot go crazy with the female, they cannot go crazy with the guy that's 50 years old.
Yeah, I can attest to that, being 50 years old.
you make very valid points. Let's kind of connect this to the competition point, right? So obviously you've had a lot of success. 5 times world champion is not a small cake. And then we are talking about, you know, going easier and working with each other, you know, to accommodate this gender differences and the power differences. What does one need to do to take their skill to the level of being a world champion? Because now we're talking about something completely different.
Yes, you are. I'm a totally different person now. Like when I started competing, I'm 5 times world champion adult and color belts too. They have to be selfish. You don't care about the other partner. For sure, we care about each other, we love each other. But when you train, the competition train, it's really selfish. You want to kill each other. You want to get that person who beat you every day. You want to kill them. You want to get better until you're able to start you winning too. On the mat. So on the mat is no space for me as an athlete. There's no space for me teaching anything. There was no space for being. I was kind of jerk. If another partner tell me, "Oh, I'm hurt. Can you go eat? I have my shoulders hurt. Can you go eat?" It was like, I'm not training with you.
Okay, so
I'm
I was about to ask you. So what do you do at that point? So whatever. I'm hurting. I'm aching. Blah 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 blah. What is your answer?
I'm avoiding.
You're not training with me at all.
No.
Why? Because you're afraid that I'm going to get hurt?
Because it's not my responsibility taking care of your injuries. I need to be able to go 100% as much as I can. If you're already telling me that you hurt, how am I going to take care of you and myself? You know what I mean? And also sometimes people will say, "Oh, I'm hurt here." And then as soon as you start, they go like crazy. Yeah, like to be good with myself, I'm always avoided. Some girls came, "Oh, I have like bad knee, so I won't be able to do any knee bar or foot lock." It's not my business. It's your business.
Do you communicate this ahead of time? Meaning, hey, listen, I'm getting ready for competition. If you hurt, don't even talk to me. Or is it more? How do you do this?
No, I just stay quiet. I'm not the person going to be talking a lot. If they ask somebody to roll. And usually everybody's on the same team. We all in the same mentality. We all want to try to get ready for a competition. It's a competition training. If you tell me, "Oh, my shoulders hurt," I just say, "Okay, never mind. Let me roll with somebody else." That's it.
Yeah, I think that when you're on a team like that, a competition team, and you all have similar goals, there's probably an unspoken rule or like a general idea of what needs to be done.
And I understand if that role for me is really important. Every single role, every single specific training. But I understand other people. I don't take the problem to myself. Other people, another black belt that is there, sometimes not even competing, but supporting, coaching, they will be rolling with them. I just don't want to take, I cannot take other people's problems to myself.
Right. Yeah, you don't have the time.
Because I don't have the time. It's that train. I need to give 100% of myself. And I know it's very opposite when you're teaching, but as an athlete, I want to reach that goal. I want to be a world champion. For sure, we all need each other. But on this part, you have to be selfish in training as bad as you can.
Do you think anybody can be a world champion?
It's hard to tell. Sometimes I don't think I'm the most talented athlete ever, but I think I probably have the strongest heart ever. I won't give up. Sometimes I have seen so many people with way more talent than anybody that I know, but they're weak. They break too easily. I've been training for 2 hours with someone screaming on my ear, "You're doing everything wrong, blah, blah, blah. You're like, you're blah, 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 blah." So the mentality, the strength, the mental strength, it has to be bigger than jiu-jitsu skills. And I competed sometimes that I didn't want to be there. I think the camp was so tough, so hard, that I lost all the will. I just want to get it done, and I lost. So you learn how much can you push some people.
So
it's really hard.
So let me ask you this. Do you think that skill is more important or the mental toughness or the mental skill?
I think the mental skills is going to make the whole difference.
So
because jiu-jitsu skill, anyone can learn if you want. Anyone can learn, but that part of the heart is the hardest part to fix, to create the mindset.
Have you fought somebody that you thoughts that were by far better than you, and you were able to succeed against that? Because that's a very common thought in a student's mind. You know, they kind of give up before they even start. You know, they are much better than me. You know, and at that point they're not even showing up mentally. Have you ever been in that position where you thought that?
No, I taught a lot of other girls that I thought was better than me, but I never thought they could win. Even they're better, because they're better, but I'm meaner. And like for those that I taught they're much better than me, I never lost. I lost for people that was like maybe not because I thought they're better. They really showed they're better. You know what I mean? Like they're better in the fight, or sometimes they're not better, but I was not on my day, like mentally. I never felt like I lost being physically fine. I felt the losses that I had is when my mental was not there.
Well,
I couldn't overcome the mental part, you know?
Yeah, we've talked to a lot of world champions and Olympic medalists, and they say very similar things, that, you know, nobody can beat me. I can only beat myself, or I didn't show up that day. It's all on me. And even if they weren't feeling that in the moment, when they reflect on it afterwards, they're like, oh yeah, that was my fault. It's nobody ever beat me. I let them beat me, or I beat myself, or I had no chance of winning when I showed up because I wasn't there mentally. How do you get, I don't think people are born with that. Or are they? I don't know. Or is that something that gets developed over time, that mentality through coaching and circumstance? Or is it something that you think was, you were born with, and then the coaching and everything else kind of fed into it to make you that world champion?
I think I was born with, you know, because I have no idea. It seems like a little kid at school, I was always very competitive, even if I was shy, or it was my personality being competitive and not liking to giving up on things. You know, what was there was just the way it was waked up probably was the right way, you know. But what I see, what my coach did with me, it didn't work with a lot of other people. Can you imagine 10, 12 years, how much he tried to do the same thing with other Jiu Jitsu fighters? I just see them like breaking up. I just see them way more talented than me, but the mental was not that strong. And then they give up. I couldn't give up on the first time I lost. On the first year as a black belt, it was really tough for me.
So do you think anybody can be a world champion, or does it take really a special person to achieve that?
I don't have a right answer for that, to be honest, because like I told you, the heart you cannot teach, but it's skills. Anybody that is very consistent and determined, it can be a world champion. Be like, for some people take longer, for some people take less.
Yeah. But what's the toughest loss that you had? Not the one that you had to mentally deal with.
Yeah, I think the hardest one when I lost were Sion, Pan, 2019. Why? So 2018, I won with the baby that I have no idea I could. I won Word and I won Pan as a black belt, right? So in December that year, we lost the job. Like, it was a very hard situation. So December, I had no job, and then no gym, no money to open my own school. And until March, so Pins in March, I put a gi on like 3 times, probably. We tried to go to California to try to do a can. My daughter got sick, so I had to go back. I live in Arizona, so I had to come back to Arizona to take care of her. So I put the gi like 3 times before can. So I had my 2 first fights, I won. But the final was beyond. But I was feeling so motivated. Even my coach, Michael, said, don't do it. Don't compete. You're not ready. So, and I lost because she's really good for sure. But I didn't feel like that was the part. I guess out halfway. If you watch my match and watch this, Cannes 2019 final. I get out with 5 minutes of the fight. I get out, and that was horrible. Losing on that way, for sure I could have having the same result, losing for her, but losing for myself first on the middle of the fight and kind of create me a trauma. That you cannot show up in this high level competition with competitors like Sion, and if you're not 100%, if you're not ready. I do have the skills, but I didn't have the training, the camp, the cardio that takes to win a tournament. It's all connected. It's not just talent, not just skills, but you have to work really hard to be ready for anything. I think that was the hardest loss for me.
What was your recovery process from that?
I have to get back in priority. We in March, in April we opened our school, and then I focus more not just competition but building the school, building the program, and taking the time for competition. It's really hard for me because if I'm not competing, I don't have a reason to train that hard. Also clicking on that competition mode, coaching mode is different too. It's new for me. I never had to really take care of students before. I'm just an athlete. I'm a competitor. I enjoy being on the mat training, not coaching. That's really two different things. I know a lot of people that love training, competing, but they don't have any desire of teaching. So that's the first time. It's too many things, too many different things on Jiu-Jitsu that you can be successful. You can be a really good coach, you can be a really good athlete, or just a really good partner. Too many things that you can be good at Jiu-Jitsu, not just competition. Competition is too small.
Yeah, and you're right. I mean, we had many individuals on the show actually in these conversations talking about just because you're a world champion does not make you a world champion coach. Being an instructor and being a competitor are two different skill sets, completely two different ways of approaching, and it really takes a lot of work to achieve either one of them, but they are very, very, very different. Very different. I know you are pressed on time. You have to get your little one. So, we kind of at the end of all, I feel like we didn't even talk about anything.
Well,
Me
we
too.
talked. Well, maybe somebody should have hit the record button.
I'm fired. This is my last show.
I feel like I didn't answer any question.
No, you did wonderful.
I have 4 pages of notes. You
did great.
But one of the things that I do want to talk to you about, but we're gonna have to come back to this another time, is your kids program, because that is a phenomenal thing you're doing with the kids. I've been following you for some time, and you're doing amazing thing. But we're gonna have to table that for another time. Before we let you go, before we finish this, at the end of every episode we ask kind of 5 very rapid, quick questions, and Gary is gonna shoot one of those questions is from our listener. So let's take a look what Gary has for us.
Yeah. So the first one, and we talked about it a lot, but maybe if you could describe, entering that academy, what was it like the first time you stepped on the mat?
And the first time I stepped on the mat, all the feelings together. I was nervous, I was scared. I think I was not that excited, to be honest. But I born on that class. I was another, for 23 years, I was one person. And for the first time ever, I found myself. I feel like that gap was inside me and was gone. It filled up everything. It changed my life. I'm another person.
That's beautiful. Beautiful. The second question is from one of our listeners. It's from Nick. And it was, how does one develop or find their jiu-jitsu game, their style?
Time and consistency. It's the only way to find your style. It's I've been there and I was like, what do I do better? For sure, nobody's going to learn 2,000 techniques and be good on 2,000 techniques. Find the thing that you feel more comfortable with and work on. If you like half guard, work on half guard more often. Different variation, maybe 2 or 3. If you like top game, find a way to pass the guard, train 3 different ways, and you're going to find yourself. If you're a top or bottom, player, what's your best game.
Right. Great advice. Great advice. All right. Have you ever wanted to quit?
No,
Never.
quitting was never an option. Not like I get frustrated a lot of times because we have a lot of ups and downs, have good and bad times on the jiu-jitsu, but quitting was never ever an option.
So,
Right.
I always find a way to keep going.
So let me ask you this quickly. I know there's plenty of moments in your life when you are frustrated, especially after some of these losses or maybe even pandemic, when life is not easy. Quitting is not an option. How do you get back? What do you tell yourself to go back on the mat?
Actually, it's not going back on the mat because I never stopped training. Even if I'm not happy, I'm not feeling it. I'm going to show up and train. I'm going to cry at the end of the train, but I show up and train. Like after having the baby, that was the worst time of my life. I have like a 2-month-old baby and I have to be back on the training in the morning because it's the only time I set up for myself to train. But I didn't sleep maybe 2-3 hours last night.
Yeah.
My whole body hurt. Like every little part gets bigger and now we need to go back to the right spot. But then you're putting pressure in training. That was the worst time of my life. It was postpartum, getting to train again. But I was there every single morning. Some days I was not able to train. I was training half time and crying half time, but I was there. Because then when the good time comes, you stick with the discipline and then the motivation gonna come. You know, nobody gonna feel motivated every single day for the whole year.
That's great.
But if you stick with the discipline, it's gonna be easier when you're motivated.
That's great. And if people haven't followed your story, I think that year for you, the worst time, really paid off. Check out her story. We don't have time to go into it right now. Describe your feelings when you received your black belt.
Be honest, I didn't feel I was ready for it. It took me a month to get that belt on the mat and realize it was mine. You know, because black belt for me was always a level that I looked to everybody like this. And when I got the black belt, I didn't feel like it was there. I didn't feel like I deserved to be there. And probably that's why the first years of black belt, I felt like a white belt. Nothing works, and I have to work so hard to start feeling. It took me a year to feel like, I feel like I'm a black belt.
Do you think a lot of people feel that way?
Today, I don't know, because I see a lot of people, and for me, I don't feel like they're ready, but they are so excited to be a black belt. Even they cannot, how can I explain that without being like cocky or something like that? It's not my idea. But for me, I need to be ready to get the next belt. Some people, I don't feel like they're not even ready, but they just want to be having that belt on the waist. You know what I mean? The skills for me is better than the next belt. But I understand everybody has different goals.
Yeah, what you're saying essentially, for you, the skill is the focus, not the belt, and there's others individuals who focus on the color versus on the skill that take to earn that belt, right? I mean, it's just a different point of philosophy, I suppose. And I agree with it. It's interesting how things are.
Yeah, for sure. All right, and the last question is always Thomas's favorite is, do you wash your belt?
I never wash my belt.
It's always interesting how different.
The power, the sweating, the blood.
It stays in there, huh?
It stays in there.
Yeah, I don't wash my belt, never. But also, I don't put my belt inside a bag and leave there for 24 hours until next day.
To let everything grow.
As soon as I finish, the train, I hang my belt at the gym, and it be there air dry, But I don't wash my belt. I don't recommend. But I don't wash my belt.
Listen, I think majority of the guests we have don't do it. Yes. And it's just kind of, I think that's how we were brought up. That's how the part of the culture, old school culture from 20 years back when you started,
without stuff or ringworm, stuff like that.
Yeah. It was different time back then. Listen, I really, this flew by faster than I thought it would.
It really did.
Yeah, what a great wisdom, and what a great points and great little nuggets that you've been sharing with a great life that you've had on the mat, a lot of success, and I still feel like we didn't talk about the points that we really wanted to touch on, but
let's set up another
do
day.
another one.
We
Yes,
have
sure.
to. I'm gonna be messaging you because I do want to talk about your kids. The phenomenal stuff that you do with your kids. It sounds like Gary wants to say something.
I just said, wait, maybe we would have had time if you would have hit record.
Oh. Well, listen.
We would have 10 more minutes.
We would have had 10 more minutes.
According to both of you, you guys will be talking, and I will not be here.
We'll bring Thomas back as the guest.
As
you
the
and I will
guest.
host the next one. Thomas can be the guest.
Listen, Karen, I know you pressed on time to get your little one. Thank you for being here. Thanks for sharing all the wisdom in your story. And we will see you on the mat around, and we'll see you soon.
Hopefully.
Okay, that sounds good. Thank you so much. I feel very honored to be part of it. And let's set up another date.
Absolutely.
I had a lot of fun.
All right, thank you.
Take care.
You.
Thank you for listening to RŌL Radio. If you enjoyed the show, don't forget to leave us a review and help us make the show even more amazing. For future episodes, check out our website and follow us on all major podcast platforms. Take care.